Welcome to Best Movie Recaps. Today I'm going to show you a German-American psychological thriller mystery film from 2005 called Flight Plan. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Kyle Pratt is a U.S. craft engineer, employed in Berlin, Germany, who is recently widowed following the death of her husband David. Kyle and her 4-year-old daughter Julia has to take her husband's body on a flight back to New York from Berlin. To help with her anxiety, Kyle takes her pills as prescribed by her doctor. The next morning, it was snowing outside, and a taxi is waiting outside to take them to the airport. While at the airport, Kyle loses Julia. She panics. She sees strangers, couples, foreigners, adults, but she doesn't see Julia. She then turns around and finds Julia over by a sundry stand. With an angry tone, she warns her not to go anywhere without her permission. Kyle and Julia will soon board a plane that Kyle helped design. They are the first to enter the cabin. Julia then looks out of her window and steams the window up with her breath. She then draws a little heart in the steam with her finger. A tiny clumsy heart. The plane takes off and Julia and Kyle fall asleep. When Kyle wakes up, Julia is gone. Kyle begins to search the plane. She tries to ask other passengers, but none of them recall seeing her. A flight attendant suggests that Julia might be playing with children of her age. Kyle walks down the aisle trying to find her, but still no sign of Julia. Kyle continues to look around with an unleash that's beginning to grow. She rechecks their row where they have fallen asleep. She looks under their blanket and finds Julia's one-armed bear. She knew that was weird because Julia wouldn't go anywhere without her bear. She then contacts a flight attendant, Stephanie, to help her find Julia. Stephanie agrees to help and makes an announcement of a missing child. Moments later, to Kyle's surprise, Stephanie tells her there is no record of her daughter boarding the flight. She was confused as she is very sure her daughter was there with her. So she tries to prove it by showing her daughter's boarding pass, but she was unable to find it. She also finds out that her daughter's backpack is missing from the overhead bin, which is impossible because Julia couldn't have reached up there by herself. She's not tall enough. Seeing the situation, a Sky Marshal, Jean Carson, begins to monitor her while she's searching for her daughter. Kyle then demands she sees the captain Marcus Rich to involve him in the search for her daughter. Hearing that there's no record of Julia boarding the flight, Captain Rich asks if Kyle is under any medication. Kyle tells him she was taking sleeping pills to help her with her anxiety due to the death of her husband. Kyle also reveals that her husband died falling from their roof 6 days ago, which she refused to believe was suicide. The captain and other members suspects that Kyle has become unhinged by her husband's death and has imagined bringing her daughter on board. But Kyle insists that Captain Rich have the entire plane searched, which he reluctantly agrees and orders the crew member to do a thorough search. The lights are turned on. An announcement is made to all passengers not to leave their seat. Stephanie goes down to the avionics section, but still no sign of Julia. While Kyle is busy searching, she sees an Egyptian and she confronts him as she recognizes him from somewhere. She tries to remember, but her brain was too messed up. Kyle then asks the captain to look for Julia in the cargo hold, but the captain doesn't allow that, and angrily states there are hundreds of passengers on the flight not being attended to because all flight attendants are busy searching for her daughter, which none of them believes was ever on board. Kyle doesn't take it well. She then runs to the Egyptian and accuses him of kidnapping her daughter, as she now remembers that she saw him the other night staring into her daughter's bedroom. The man is annoyed at the accusation and shows proof of a seat at the hotel where he lived, which is nowhere near her apartment. Then chaos ensues. Kyle forces the man to confess and they fight. Carson, who is fed up with her behavior, grabs her and states that her husband's death makes more sense now, a couple of hours with her and even he is ready to jump. Marcus later receives a wire from the hospital in Berlin that says Julia was with her father when he fell off the roof and also died of internal injuries. The crew then believes she is delusional. Kyle furiously denies it. She is very sure that Julia is still alive and still on the plane. Carson now feels that Kyle is a threat by making up such a story, so he handcuffs her and keeps her in her seat. A therapist, Lisa, on board tries to console her, causing Kyle to doubt her own sanity, and she begins to accept her daughter's death until she notices that a heart Julia had drawn earlier on the window next to her seat is real. Kyle becomes increasingly convinced that something weird is going on. She then convinces the therapist to let her use the bathroom. Instead of doing so, she climbs into the upper compartment and sabotages the aircraft's electronics, deploying the oxygen masks and interrupting lighting. All passengers and crew starts to panic, but Carson figures out that Kyle is the one behind it. She uses the chaos to take a dumbwaiter to the lower freight deck. She desperately searches for Julia and finally opens her husband's casket hoping to find Julia there, but she finds only her husband, at which she emotionally breaks down. Carson finds her, puts her in handcuffs and escorts her back, announcing that the flight is making an emergency stop, where she will be arrested as soon as they land. As she's escorted to her seat, All of the passengers begin to applaud. The applauds begin to spread all over the deck, some others are staring at her, including the Egyptian. Kyle reaches the back room where she stops and sits there. Kyle makes a final plea to Carson that she needs to search the plane when they land. Carson considers for a moment, then decides to speak to the captain. He sneaks back into the freight deck to remove 2 explosives and a detonator concealed in David's casket, then climbs down to the avionics section and attaches the explosives to the side of the platform, revealing Julia, who is sleeping. At this point it is revealed that Carson has been the mastermind behind everything. Carson and Stephanie has conspired to hijack the aircraft for a $50 million ransom, and frame Kyle due to her knowledge of the aircraft. They abducted Julia to force Kyle to unlock the casket where he placed the explosives and detonator. Carson tells the captain that Kyle is a hijacker, and is threatening to blow up the aircraft unless the airline transfers $50 million into a bank account. The conspirators actually murdered David and abducted Julia in order to frame Kyle. Carson tells an unnerved Stephanie that he intends to blow up the aircraft, killing the unconscious Julia, and leave Kyle dead with the detonator in her hand. Kyle still couldn't believe everything that has happened and she anxiously looks out of the window as the plane is about to land. Other passengers are confused because of the emergency landing. After making an emergency landing at Goose Bay Airport in Goose Bay, Labrador, Canada, the passengers exit the aircraft as the tarmac is surrounded by US FBI agents. As the captain is leaving, Kyle runs to speak to him with Carson in tow. The captain demands she give the charade, stating $50 million demanded by her has been paid. Realizing the truth, Kyle decides to take advantage of the role of hijacker, demanding Carson stay on board and the crew disembark. Carson hesitates and soon realizes that if he refuses, then it would be seen that the charade would be his. As soon as the plane's door closes, Kyle knocks Carson unconscious with a fire extinguisher, handcuffs him to a rail, and takes the detonator from his pocket. Stephanie comes out of hiding. Carson regains consciousness and fires at Kyle with a concealed gun, sending her running. He chases after Kyle, shooting until she locks herself in the cockpit. She opens a hatch door to the plane's attic and throws out a binder to fool him. Carson hears the upstairs thud and leaves. Kyle exits and encounters a guilt-ridden Stephanie, who panics and flees the plane. Kyle searches avionics and finds the unconscious Julia. She immediately hugs her and carries her. Carson soon follows, and while searching, tells her how he murdered her husband to smuggle the explosives inside his casket, knowing that it would not be scanned at the checkpoint. He tells her how he gagged and dumped her daughter into the food bin. He disparages the people aboard who would never care enough to notice. He turns around and sees Kyle carrying Julia into the hatch of the cargo hold, with the detonator in hand. Carson shoots at her as she closes the door. With the non-combustible walls of the hold to protect them, she detonates the explosives while leaning on David's coffin, killing Carson. A moment later, Kyle appears with her daughter. As Kyle carries her daughter out onto the tarmac, all the passengers are shocked upon realizing that she had been telling the truth the whole time. At the airport terminal the next morning, Captain Marcus approaches and comments how much the two of them look alike. He also apologizes to a seated Kyle for his skepticism. Stephanie is led away by the FBI in handcuffs. An agent approaches Kyle and asks her to identify the mortuary director in Berlin who has been detained. Kyle carries Julia still unconscious through the crowd of passengers. All are stunned, and somewhat guilt-ridden for not believing her. Before loading her daughter into a van to take them away, Julia wakes up and sleepily asks, "Are we there yet?" As they get ready to leave, the scene shows the Egyptian passenger help pick up her bag, as an act of respect and forgiveness. Thanks for watching, subscribe and turn on post notifications to watch more videos.